Let's make some noise. Come on.
All right, you are indeed Nick Foles. Let's make some noise. Welcome back, everybody, to another week of The Final Word. The Final Word is back. It's Sunday night. It's our first broadcast night of our week, and you are watching The Final Word on the It's a Rap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call. Great to be back. Glad to be back. Coming off of the heels of our first 5-day actual show week that we had in a very long time. Now, it's important that you remember that because this week we are not going to be here for 5 days. Yeah, I'm sorry. A little scheduling note, a little programming note right off the bat. I will be here for 4 of 5. I'm going to be here tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. There will be no show Thursday night because I got to hit the road again. I got to go to Tennessee this time. So we'll be out of town for the next weekend. So you're not going to get me on Thursday. And you also won't get the Birds Blast on Thursday. We're trying to make arrangements for that on Wednesday. And more to follow on that. So stay with us to find that out. But it's great to be here tonight. And boy, love having the last crack at the Eagles. Or I should say, love having the first crack at the Eagles. It's a part of this show that's, it sells itself, actually. So tonight we're going to definitely get into the Eagles' 28-22 win over the Minnesota Vikings in an offensive passing expedition put on by Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and company, as they were able to outpower the Carson Wentz-led Vikings 28-22. Wentz threw for 313 yards of his own, and we'll get into this game. We're going to break things down because, yes, indeed. The great savior game was tonight, right? The season is now saved. Everything is right in the world. Eagles are back on track. And I'm going to obviously bring a counterpoint to that because, yes, it was impressive. Yes, there was some great things to take from this game passing-wise. The Eagle defense is beside itself right now. I don't know what the hell they're doing. You let Carson Wentz carve you up not only with his arm but with his feet. The Vikings gave this game away. I must say it. 1 for 6 in the red zone. A lot of bad decisions by the Vikings, penalties. That one touchdown that was called back, it could have been either way, I guess. The Vikings gave this game to the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is the biggest takeaway I'm going to get from this game. I mean, they won. I'll give you that. Jalen Hurts had his best passing game since 2022. I'll give you that as well. But we're going to break some of this stuff down because I'm not impressed. Not impressed by a eking out win over the Vikings. 1 for 6 in the red zone. Holy crap. So we'll get into that. Phillies are back on the docket tonight as we have reached the pitchers. We are in the pitchers. Tonight we are going to reveal MattyB's starting rotation and his bullpen as we are getting closer to revealing my roster for 2026. We've been rebuilding this thing for about a week now. I guess we started last Monday. And we're getting to the end. So tonight we're going to knock out both the rotation and the bullpen. Little preview of that. There's only one new piece. One. I'm only making one addition to the bullpen from the outside. I'll reveal who that is, of course, in a little bit. Flyers, good win. I had the call last night on Clear the Ice. It was a very entertaining game. Dan Vladar, story of the night, I guess. Flyers as an offense are still averaging less than 3 goals a game. They're 1 for 15 on the power play. I don't think they were ever that bad last year to start the season. 1 for 15 on the power play. They're getting contributions. They're getting really good contributions from Vladar and the defense. The defense has actually changed their philosophy. I don't know if you guys have noticed this through 5 games. But the defense is now telling you you're going to shoot from the perimeter. They're not giving anything in front of the net, which, hallelujah. Thank you, Rick Tocchet, for bringing that in. If you've watched these games as closely as I have, you can see how the defense philosophy is now. Push everything back. Keep everybody, put bodies in front of that net. And that's a great philosophy. And it's working very well, especially when you're getting the goaltending that you're getting. So we'll get a little bit into the Flyers. Of course, our day in Philadelphia sports history, our card review, and our of the night segment. All of that is going to be rolled up into our show tonight. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's not waste time for me droning on. And here we go. Joe Hale says, "What's up?" Hey, Joe, how you doing? 2 turnovers by the Vikings, 2 turnovers, costly turnovers by the Vikings. The pick 6 there by Carson Wentz, should not have thrown that football. Listen, Carson Wentz stinks. Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback, and it's a shame because they got some really good wide receivers on that football team. They got really good wide receivers. Addison, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, the tight end. They got some people who can catch the football. And it's a shame that J.J. McCarthy, who might be now considered a bust, seeing how he's missed 23. Missed 21 out of the first 23 games in the league. And you turn this thing over to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is terrible. And Carson Wentz tore up the Eagles defense today. Absolutely lit them the hell up. I also want to talk about a little bit about that last touchdown, or not last touchdown, but that play that sealed the game. Because I got some things I want to bring up about that play. The Isaiah Rodgers play, A.J. Brown, that nice little, I guess it was a kind of a fade pattern. A.J. Brown beat Rodgers pretty bad off the line, and then it was wide open down the field. I'm going to play that play in slow motion because I want you guys to look at something and try to help me out because I don't understand the defense, but we'll get into that in a second. We have a problem. We have a problem with our team still. Star Wars 100%. And I guess the first question, and I don't want to jump the gun about the Eagles, but we will talk about the Eagles. They'll be the first in the shoot once I get through the day in sports history. But the first question I want you guys to start pondering, was this their first complete game of the season? Was this the Eagles' first complete game? 60 minutes of football. Did they put together 60 minutes of football? Mind you, they scored 14 first half points and only 7 by the offense. And they only scored 14 second half points. There was large swaths of this game where the Eagle offense disappeared. Large swath. I mean, they were 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. A lot of third and longs. And, 7 points by the offense in the first half and 14 points by the offense in the second half. Was this their first complete game of the season? I say it wasn't. I say they still haven't put together a full 60 minutes. Now, a lot of things are looking a lot better when Jalen Hurts throws for 26 yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely. But is that something you can count on week to week? Is that what we're going to pin our hopes and dreams on? Because it didn't work in 22. It didn't work in 23. And it certainly didn't work last year. Are you pinning your hopes on Jalen Hurts to pass the Eagles' way to a Super Bowl? Because I think that's a deadly, deadly recipe there. Saquon Barkley today, 18 carries for 44 yards. This is an official proclamation about Saquon Barkley's 2025 season. It stinks. It's terrible. The offensive line, Mailata today had a bad game. Cam Jurgens went out again. Lane Johnson's in and out of the lineup. Interesting game coming up for the Birds on Sunday against the Giants, who somehow blew that game today. Cam Scatterboo, and I'm gonna run this flag up the flagpole for a while too. I so wanted him. Good God, can you imagine Cam Scatterboo on this team? Talk about the change of pace running back. He was there in the 4th round for the Eagles to take. I profiled him on this show. I was a big fan of his coming out of Arizona State last year. I knew he was going to be this type of running back, and we had him. He was there. Didn't pick him up. Now, as I said, we got to deal with him for the next 10 years or whatever. But how did they lose that football game? But the Giants coming into Lincoln Financial Field next week is not going to be an easy game, especially if the offensive line continues its poor play and its injury. So we're going to get into all that, man. We're going to get into all that. But let me get everything rolling here on the program as we do every night with your day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up. Let's begin. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. With his career on a clear decline, the Phillies released Pete Rose, 42 years old, coming off a season in which he just hit 245. The leader of the Phillies 80 championship team, Rose hustled his way through 3 more seasons with stops in Montreal and Cincinnati before his abrupt departure due to a lifetime ban back in 89 for gambling. And that was on this day back in 1983. Pete Rose, released by the Phillies, would go on, sign with the Montreal Expos, play there in 84. I want to say he was dealt in 84 to the Reds, or did he play out the whole season? I think he got dealt at the trade deadline to the Reds in 84. Finished up his career with the Reds in 84. 85, I think when did he become player manager? 86 time frame, something like that. But yeah, so I guess you could call today the official end of the second greatest era in Phillies baseball history, when that team failed to beat the Baltimore Orioles, and then consequently had to break up the band. Pete Rose was one of those casualties. 5 seasons for the Phillies, 79 through 83. Hell of a player, man. God, I liked him. Yeah, loved him a lot, man. Pete Rose, definitely one of my favorites. He's part of my all-time Phillies lineup, by the way. But there you go. On this day, the Phillies released Pete Rose in 1983, sort of ushering in the end of the greatest era in Philadelphia Philly baseball. So there you have it. Your day in Philadelphia sports history, brought to you by the fine folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, creators of such programming as the Clear the Ice to Flyers postgame show. And here you go, next week's lineup. Mike Laro got you Monday. Thursday's Pat, and Mike Laro got you on Saturday. I am out of the rotation this week due to traveling restrictions. So there you go. You got Mike, Pat, and Mike. A Mike and Pat sandwich, or I guess a Pat sandwich. Gone to bed with better thoughts. But make sure you're checking out the Clear the Ice program. So let's get into it, I guess. Let's talk about the Eagles. We sort of brought it up. Joe wants to know my thoughts on the Brandon Graham rumors. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. If this is what your GM, your all-world GM, is concocted on saving the defensive line by bringing back Brandon Graham, who's the crazy one? Come on, man. Well, I mean, it's obvious at this point that Howie Roseman's plan in the offseason was bad. That was a terrible plan. He went into the offseason thinking you could get rid of some real solid contributors on offense and defense, replace them with a bunch of draft picks, mostly ones that hadn't shown that potential of being able to step up, and then some Class B free agents, and just roll into the season thinking your offense, I guess, with Saquon was going to carry it to victory. In the beginning of the season, the first 2 or 3 weeks or so, it looked like it was going to work, but then the injuries began. And then the team got gassed. A lot of time on the field. By the way, again, a lot of time on that field today by the defense. But there's just not enough bodies on that defense, and there's not enough decent bodies, and there's not enough veterans on that defense. Is it safe to say Howie Roseman's offseason plan didn't work? I guess you can't really fully say that until the end of the season. But it's not looking good. And the utter idea of trying to regurgitate Brandon Graham. First of all, Brandon should have enough sense to say, I don't know where these rumors started. Obviously, some people, I don't know how these things get going. It was me who started the rumors, actually. But no, I mean, I don't know how a rumor like this gets started, but I don't think Brandon Graham should attempt it. It's like Steve Carlton. When the Phillies wanted to sort of retire him in 86. Now he said, I can still pitch. Send me to Chicago, Cleveland, San Francisco, wherever. And his career was kind of tainted down the line there as it wound down. I don't want to see that happen to Brandon Graham. Go out on top, man. Go out a Super Bowl champion, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So I just don't know how valid those rumors are. And if it does happen, and that's the big big trade deadline acquisition, God help you guys, man. God help you. Michael Papernick says this was not a complete game by the Eagles. I concur. There was a lot of this game. Listen, again, I'm going to go back to the Carson Wentz terrible quarterback play. And he threw for over 300 yards. But there was so much left on the bone. 1 for 6 in the red zone. Some of that was self-inflicted. A lot of that was self-inflicted. A lot of that was self-inflicted by the Vikings. The touchdown that was called back because of the holding penalty. The Hockenson touchdown there that, as I said, I'm not going to blame the refs on that. They challenged it. The NFL looked at it and said it wasn't a touchdown, whatever. But there's points that were left on that field, a lot of points left on the field. Some of that you got to give credit to the Eagle defense, and I will. But a lot of that is Carson Wentz. A lot of that is Carson Wentz's play. He's a terrible quarterback, and he still threw for over 300 yards against his Eagle defense. And on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen had himself some big-time plays. What did he throw? Perfect passer rating today, 100% or something like that. And he had as many touchdowns as he did incompletions, 3. But most of the offense today was geared around the big play, and they connected on the big plays. And there's the secret there. But the stuff in between the big plays, it wasn't very impressive. The Eagles were in 3rd and long a lot today. A lot. And I'm telling you, you insert a different quarterback into that game, the Vikings are not losing that football game. They're not. The Eagles only scored 28 points, man. That's it. So, not a complete game. I agree with you, Paffernick, 100%. He doesn't want Graham to come back. I don't want Graham to come back either. I love Campbell on the edge. I mean, that's where I guess they envisioned him being when they drafted him. You know, put Nakobe Dean, who got back in and actually was involved in some tackles today. That was good to see. I mean, that's definitely a plus. But with the trade deadline looming, is Brandon Graham the acquisition you guys are looking for? Is that the move that's going to put him over the top? I don't know. But let's continue talking about the Eagles, because I do want to bring up this play here. I want to talk about it because maybe I'm seeing this on a different thing. Maybe I'm seeing this on a different level. MP says Eagles only scored 21 points. Defense put up 7. Absolutely. And they only scored as an offense 7 points in the first half. There's a problem there, man. And that was on the opening drive. Where was the rest of the scoring in the rest of the first half? Jalen connected on some big time throws. Now, the moral victory is that the Eagles actually allowed Jalen Hurts to throw the ball deep. The moral victory is that the receivers were able to get open. And by the way, I don't know who I heard it. I didn't do the research or the backstory on the Viking defense. The Viking cornerbacks stink. There was some bad pass coverage today on both sides. And I want you to remember that, because I want to bring this up. So this is the play that sealed the game for the Eagles in the fourth quarter. The A.J. Brown play that went down the sidelines, down to about the 10-yard line, kind of locked it up for the game. I want you guys to watch along with me, because I had an opportunity to see this. I remember seeing this in real time and thinking I was crazy. So I grabbed it, segregated it, and I want to bring this up because this is what I mean about some bad defense. And this is Isaiah Rodgers on A.J. Brown. So here we go. Let's set it up. It is what? 3rd and 9. This is it. This is the play of the game. If the Eagles get the first down here, they're going to win the game. Vikings got 2 timeouts left, but listen, they get a first down. It's about done. So there's Isaiah Rodgers out here, right? He's out wide with A.J. Brown. And let's roll it. Let's roll the tape. Here we go. So Jalen Hurts, listen, there's motion off to the other side, but nothing's going on over here. There's no disguising this. This is going to be straight coverage. Obviously, Isaiah Rodgers and the rest of the defenders are playing back because they want to keep the play in front of them, which is interesting to me, because you definitely don't want them to get behind you here. So you play back, you give them that little cushion. But here we go. Let's roll it. Jalen Hurts in the shotgun. So let's stop it here. Now, A.J. Brown's off the line of scrimmage by about 3 steps. Isaiah Rodgers hasn't moved yet. Look at him. He hasn't friggin' moved. And he's in this lackadaisical kind of set position. Look at this guy here, man. He's down. Isaiah Rodgers looks like he's asleep. Both feet on the ground. He's got his hands on his knees like, Here comes A.J. Brown. As I said, about 3 or 4 steps already off the line of scrimmage. Rodgers has not moved. And then we'll play a little bit more. Finally, Rodgers decides to do something. 4 seconds after the ball was snapped, now you got Isaiah Rodgers doing something. There's still about a good, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-yard gap between the two of them. He falls for the most, first of all, okay, look, where's he at now? 1, 2, 3. He's 4 yards in front. He's 4 yards in front of A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown does this little half-step move to the inside and goes back to the outside. I could have made a better move than that. But apparently Isaiah Rodgers bites on it terribly, and then it's off to the races, and here's the play that ends the game. This has got to be the worst pass coverage I've ever seen in my life. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible pass coverage. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up to say this. Is it possible Isaiah Rodgers might have been given out a hometown discount here? I'm not saying that it happened, and I'm not saying that I'm not questioning the man's integrity, but come on. You had a 4-yard cushion, and you got faked out by a little stutter step inside move. I don't get it. And a 4-yard cushion. Now, Isaiah Rodgers was one of those players that Howie Roseman kicked down the road, and a lot of people were upset about it, especially with the depth problems in our secondary. And I guess Isaiah Rodgers is a very good role player. He's being asked to do more things in Minnesota. And on the Birds flyby, I had to listen to the Homer Graham Poobah give a recitation of Isaiah Rodgers as some sort of otherworld entity because of what he did against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins last week. I don't know where that play was versus this type of stuff here. That's just terrible, man. Terrible. Absolutely 100% terrible. And he ends up in front of him. It's just a bad play. So, yeah, okay. They won. Yeah. But again, is that it? Is that the type of defense we were up against? So I just wanted to bring that up for just a sort of a contextual moment of the type of defense Jalen Hurts was throwing against all day today. And I don't know where all this all-world Minnesota Viking defense stuff came from. I really don't. But I just wanted to bring that up. Ex-Eagle Isaiah Rodgers got torched. Yeah, and as you can see by that, now that wasn't the only play he got torched with. He got torched kind of all day long, but again, so did the Eagles secondary. But that was terrible, man. Terrible. Vikings never expected Jalen to throw it deep. They were trying to stop him the first down. I understand that. But when you're 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, and A.J. Brown doesn't move 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, and it's a very pedestrian half step to the inside, and then he cuts right back. Are you telling me that you bit that hard that he blows by you 4 yards down the field? I mean, it's the NFL, right? Come on. And one, as I said, Isaiah Rodgers looked like he was asleep for the start of that play. Again, I'm not discrediting the play. I'm not discrediting what they did, but let's not give the defensive performance today by the Vikings a little bit more credit than it needs to be given. That's all I'm trying to say. And if that's the type of defense Jalen Hurts was throwing against today, and for most accounts it was, how much of the validity of 326 yards and 3 touchdowns do you take from that? And again, Jalen Hurts trying to do that every week, it's not going to work well for this team. There's still some balance missing. Saquon Barkley has officially entered the territory of not being able to repeat or replicate last season. Well, I think we are officially at that point now with Saquon that you got to find another way. And it can't be just let Jalen Hurts rear back and throw deep. It just can't be. There's got to be more to it. Jalen today threw the ball 4 times to the middle of the field. 4 times. I should say completed 4 passes to the middle of the field. He's now completed, 19 passes to the middle of the field all season. So again, utilizing the sides, which he always does. Now, one of those the big touchdown to Devontae was down the middle. I'll give him that. The 70-yarder, that was down the middle. That was the big one. But once again, he stays away from the middle of the field, utilizes the deep edges. The philosophy of allowing Jalen Hurts to beat you with his arm still is in play, and I still think it's a valuable defensive strategy. You just got a better secondary than the Vikings did today. So you're not judging Rodgers by saying he threw the game for the ball. I don't know, man. I don't know, Kaepernick. You saw that as I did. I'm just saying, man. I'm not questioning his integrity or anything like that. Now, I also saw A.J. Brown running off the field and hugging Howie Roseman, holding Isaiah Rodgers' jersey. Again, man, I'm not questioning integrity. I don't know. It just seemed to me a little bit of I noticed it in real time. Like, why is Rodgers not moving? He's just not moving, and then all of a sudden the play's behind him. It was such a bad defensive technique, bad coverage. I don't know, man. A little bit of a hometown discount. I don't know. I don't know the relationship. I don't know if they were boys. I don't know. Screwier things have happened there, Kaepernick. Screwier things have happened. So let's break some of the stuff down further. The It's a Wrap Sports final word stat pack from today's game. The Eagles were 0 for 1 in the red zone. 1 trip to the red zone. And that tells you, again, a lot about the way they were moving the football. Got into the red zone one time today. You can't sustain that. You gotta have longer drives. I mean, this has been a problem all year. They just can't stay out in the field long enough. 0 for 1 in the red zone, 14 for 17 now on the season. 14 first half points, 14 second half points. Again, 7 points only of those 14 in the first half were scored by the offense. The other 7 came on the pick 6. 8 penalties today for 64 yards. This is getting out of control. The Eagles have now committed 49 penalties, 7 a game. They're averaging 7 penalties a game for 51 yards a game. That is getting out of. You're not going to go deep in the playoffs if you cannot stop these penalties. Penalties on this football team are out of control. It's been out of control all season long, and there's nothing that I see is stopping it. And I don't know the reason. Is it the youth? Is it some of the undisciplined players? Is that one of the reasons why they want to bring Brandon Graham back, get some veteran presence inside at least the defensive locker room? But, you committed 8 penalties for 64 yards. It's terrible. Terrible. They did force 2 turnovers, and they hadn't forced any turnovers in the last 2 games. They forced 2 today, 7 now on the year. Did not commit any penalties. Jalen Hurts was sacked 3 times today. He's been sacked 21 times through 7 games. 3 sacks a game. Jalen is getting sacked right now. They only got to Wentz twice, even though they were pressuring in his face all. I mean, it was open season on Carson Wentz today. I'm surprised he made it to the end of the game. He took some vicious hits. On the pick 6, Jalen Carter laid Carson Wentz out, man. Woo! Man, and now J.J. McCarthy on the sidelines in uniform. Was he available if they needed him? So this is probably what? I think this is Carson's last game as a starter. But he was sacked 3 times today. They got to Wentz twice. Eagles were 2 for 3 on 4th down conversions. 9 for 12 on the season. And has somebody figured out how to stop the tush push? It's another interesting point from today's game. The other things that I want to talk about this game, early on, when the Vikings were moving the football on the Eagles at will, before the interceptions, before the self-inflicted wounds by the Vikings, either through penalties or interceptions, I was noticing the chemistry between Justin Jefferson and Addison. Carson Wentz has been the starter for 2-3 weeks, and he's already hooking up with these guys like he's been throwing to them for years. But yet we had to wait till today to see Jalen Hurts and that chemistry between his 2 wide receivers, which he has literally been throwing to for years, sort of kind of catch in. So again, another interesting side note from the game today from me is the lack of chemistry with the Eagles wide receivers and their quarterback. Well, at least to start the game and the games before that, and the chemistry between Carson Wentz and his wide receivers. Interesting takeaway for me. The offensive line, I mean, if there's anybody out there who wants a goddamn bye week, it's the offensive line. Cam Jurgens, man, this is the injury from training camp that we all talked about back in July by saying, you know what, sit him for the first 3 weeks of the year. Let him sit from the time of the injury, which was in July, to about week 4, and maybe you'd be in a better situation. Cam Jurgens, God love him. He's out there battling his ass off, but the boy's hurt, man. He should not play against the Giants. Cam Jurgens needs to be done now until the Green Bay game after the bye. There's no reason about bringing Cam Jurgens back out there. He's not going to make it to the end of the season if you don't put him down for a few games. Jordan Mailata had a bad game. The offensive line in general has forgotten how to run block. Their pass blocking was decent at times. Still, it is not like it was last year or the year before that, or even the year before that. And my final point, 1 for 6 in the red zone for the Vikings. Yes, some of that was inflicted by the Eagle defense. Some of that was inflicted on the fact that Carson Wentz is just a substandard quarterback. And some of that was self-inflicted by the Minnesota Vikings with bad penalties. The whole turning the touchdown away at the end, that was a crucial part of that game too. Crucial part of that game. And I found it interesting on 4th and 2, after they disallowed the touchdown, in a situation where, I know he went for 3. I mean, what does that say about the coach's level of confidence in Carson Wentz to get a touchdown there? With 4th and goal from the 2. That spoke volumes to where the coach's confidence level in Carson Wentz was. And but a huge part of that game, a huge turning point in that game. And is it fluky? Nah, it's not fluky. It's part of the thing, right? But there's a lot of self-inflicted wounds today by the Vikings. The Eagles were lucky to walk out of this game 28-22 winners. This changes nothing for me in my prognosis of this football team. There's still problems. Going in against a much younger, much more athletic, much more energetic New York Giants next Sunday at the Link is going to be an interesting game. The Eagles would be well advised to sit some of these walking wounded. Give them an extra week. They're going to need it. But you can't go out. You cannot lose again to the Giants. You got to beat the Giants for the divisional tiebreaker purposes. Not that I'm saying the Giants are going to be involved in this thing at the end in terms of battling for first place, but you got to stack up those divisional wins. But this is going to be an interesting call here. It's week 8, not week 16. What did the Eagles do? Did they sit some of their walking wounded? Or did they, they decide to keep going them? But I don't know, man. I don't know. Interesting situation, though. Damn, you guys are locking me up here. When Jalen throws the ball, we all complain. When he doesn't throw the ball, we all complain. We have to make up our minds. I'm not complaining that he's throwing the football. No, I'm absolutely not complaining. I'm just telling you. Are you really going to expect him to throw for 316 yards or whatever, 26 yards a week and not cough up the football? That's not the part of his game that's the strength of his game. If this is what you're going to rely on, this is just as bad as not being able to run. This is what doomed them in 23. This is what doomed them in 22. Is relying solely on Jalen Hurts' ability to throw the football. There's got to be a balance in this offense. And there isn't any. There wasn't a balance last year either, but it was alleviated by the otherworldliness of Saquon Barkley. I'm not complaining about him throwing a football. Made some beautiful passes today. But if you go in week to week thinking that this is the recipe to win, we've already seen it's not. When it was pass-heavy Jalen Hurts in 2022, they lost in the Super Bowl. When it was pass-heavy Jalen Hurts in 2023, it all fell apart. And when it was pass-heavy Jalen Hurts for the first 4 games of 2024, they were 2-2 and had to scrap their entire offensive package. We've already seen this not work. I'm not saying that it can't be part of something, but it can't be what the Eagles' new philosophy is because it's not going to work. I'm not complaining about nothing. That missed chip shot by Elliott. Yeah, absolutely. The Eagles tried to give this game away. And that hurt me on damn fantasy football. Stupid ass Jake Elliott. Jalen was 19 for 23, 27 yards, no touchdown. What else do you want from Jalen? Kaepernick, am I complaining? Again, you're under the impression that Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. He's not. And there's a newsflash for you right there. He's not. He's absolutely not an elite quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. But I'm telling you, if this is the stat line that you think he needs to produce every week, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. He's not capable of that week to week to week. We've seen it. Go back and look at the tape. He did fine. But the balance of this offense needs to be figured out. And that's not on Jalen Hurts. It's on the damn coaches. I am not bashing Jalen Hurts for his performance today. Absolutely not. But to think that this is the way you're going to win a Super Bowl or defend the Super Bowl is ridiculous. We've seen it not be able to work in the past with him. He needs a balance. He's not that kind of guy. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. It's not a knock on him. Damn, Jalen Hurts' apostles worse than the homers, man. Ricky, how are you today? The dome helps Jalen's passing game, first one all year. Yeah, the roof was open, though, man. It was like 60 degrees in Minnesota. You didn't see the sunshine shining in. The roof was open. MattyB, you think it's the Madden curse? No, get the hell out of here. The Madden curse. No. Howie needs to stop getting used running backs and wide receivers to get some offensive linemen. But listen, the offensive line is serviceable. They're just really hurt. I don't know why they're so damn dinged up. If you're going to try to shore up the team in the trade deadline, it's got to be along the edge and the defensive line. You got to get some help there. I mean, the cornerbacks are what they are. There's so many problems in the Eagles secondary. You're not going to be able to fix them in the trade deadline. You can't. You got to provide them with enough tools to make it work. And if you get a better pass rush, maybe you get a better performance from your secondary. And maybe you're one or two players away from a better pass rush, and you're like 3 players away from a better defensive backfield. I think just the matter of physics there, you go for a better pass rush. I don't know. I'm just spitballing that one. But how can you not look at Howie Roseman's offseason plan and say it worked? That's another good point. How can you look at it like that? It hasn't worked. Matter of the front line. So I don't know. We're 40 minutes in, Ricky, and I got a lot to do. So we'll see. So the Eagles do win today, 28-22. They did score another opening drive touchdown now, so that's 4 for the season. Already all over there. They far exceeded their total from last year. 7 first-quarter touchdowns, which is really good to see. Positivity. And again, as I said, Jalen Hurts with his thrown through the middle stuff still is an issue. Only 4 times did he complete passes to the middle, but one of them was a big 70-some yard touchdown pass. The Eagles need an edge rusher, so Carter is not double teamed just like they had. Yeah, no, I agree. Now they're looking at Jihad Campbell, obviously in that role. Now that Nakobe Dean is back, you can flex him back into that linebacker spot and then move Campbell out to the edge, perhaps. But is that enough? As he's still kind of figuring out his way through the NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. And then, of course, you're mortgaging your draft picks. You know, there's some holes in this team that need to be filled long term. What are you doing with tight end next year? You know, Lane Johnson's going to have to eventually retire at some point. What are you doing there? Is A.J. Brown long for this world after this season? Do you have to replace him? You know, so there's some offensive holes that the Eagles need to go after through the draft next year. And now you're down to 8. Could potentially come out of the trade deadline down to 6 or 5. I don't know. The Eagles need an elite edge rusher like Henderson or Crosby. It's time to pony up. It's going to cost. And aren't both of them on expiring deals? Aren't both of them one-hit wonders? So you're going to have to factor in some sort of contract before you make the trade. And can you afford a contract right now? It's not as easy as that there, Papernick. It isn't. And are you okay with them sacrificing 3 to 4 more draft picks? I'm not. Not for the defending Super Bowl champions. Again, all this talk about greatness of Howie, but yet here we are clamoring to make massive move on the defensive line. You know, all this greatness of Howie, the secondary, I could start. Right? The Eagles came into the season ill-prepared. Now we're talking about making a massive trade in season. Shouldn't the defending Super Bowl champions just be plugged into playing at this point? Also, Crosby's got a new deal, so that's going to come at an even greater price because now he's got some longevity. The Raiders are going to want a lot. Man, the Raiders stink. Raiders stink. Whew. It's a big fantasy day for the Chiefs today. Thank you, Raiders. Eagles 28-22 winners. Did they finish and did they play a complete game? Consensus is no. Is this type of winning sustainable? Is Jalen Hurts throwing for 326 yards sustainable? Or is balance still needed in this game with this team? They have not found the balance yet. Now, if they could have gotten Saquon pop for a few of them longer runs, maybe 120 yards on the day, you could maybe talk about balance a little bit more. But Saquon Barkley stinks. Man, I saw him get tackled behind the line of scrimmage about 7 times today. I don't think he got tackled behind the line of scrimmage 7 times all last year. What's going on there, man? Maybe get one of the Raiders tight end. Again, Kaepernick, is that something you're looking to? Is that the biggest position of need? I'm not saying it's not a position of need, but that's not what I'm looking for. That's not going to tip the balance of the Eagles winning a Super Bowl this year. Something's got to be done with the defense. With all the free agency invested on the defense, and all the draft picks pretty much invested on the defense this year, why is the defense the worst part of this football team right now? Inquiring minds want to know. Tua got benched. Yeah. Who's the backup in Miami? Is that Zach Wilson? Is Zach Wilson down in Miami now? I thought it is. It's not Rosen anymore. Is it Josh Rosen still? Or am I like 4 years behind the times? Is it Zach Wilson? Dolphins stink. Now, there are some teams you can kind of pick apart at the trade deadline. There are going to be some names out there, but they're not just going to let them walk away. No. Massive compensation, man. Massive compensation. Joe House says, yep. MP says Quinn Evers. What, the Notre Dame quarterback? Or is that the Texas quarterback? It was Quinn Evers, right? He was Texas last year. He's backing up Tua. I thought it was Zach Wilson. I like Quinn Evers too. Yeah, it was the kid that what's his name took his job, right? Manning. Yeah, I remember. I'm a member. All right. Eagles 28-22 wins. Yeah, as Joe Hale was saying, they took 2 out today. I thought Zach Wilson was in Miami. I thought he was. But all right, let's move on because I got a lot to do. We are coming up to an hour here. Let's change gears a bit. Let's lighten the mood. Kaepernick and his Jalen Hurts fandom here. It's time for us to reopen the wound of the Phillies offseason and continue on with our saga of the Phillies offseason, who stays, who goes, and why. If you recall from last year, we went through the manager, all the position players, to include the outfielder, infielders, and the catcher, and the DH, and we've established some controversial moves on my part about going with a very rookie-laden outfield. I want Justin Crawford in center, Harrison Bader in left, and Gabriel Raconis Jr. in right. Of course, I'm bringing back JT Realmuto. I'm saying goodbye to Kyle Schwarber, moving Bryce Harper to DH, signing Pete Alonso, trading or signing Luis Arraez, getting rid of Bryson Stott, getting rid of Alec Boehm, turning third base over to Otto Kemp until Aiden Miller's ready. I'm just infusing the entire team with a bunch of youth. Tonight, we go to the more stable part of the team, which, of course, is our pitching staff. This is the one element of the team that I don't think has to really be tweaked that much. Now, there are concerns in the pitching. Zach Wheeler, the first one, coming back from that blood clot. Rob Thompson or Dave Dombrowski or one of them Yahoos last week, I think it was Dombrowski, said that there is no reason not to believe that Zach Wheeler will not be ready or will be ready at the end of May. And not ready to start throwing bullpen, but to actually be ready to pitch in a Major League Baseball game the end of May. So the end of May is when you could expect to see Zach Wheeler back in a Phillies game. That means something. Aaron Nola, with his north of 6 ERA, and apparently did enough, though, at the end to impress Dave Dombrowski by saying that he said he thought he was coming back and getting some of his stuff back. There was significant improvement through Nola as he kind of came up back off his stint on the DL or IL. So there was some improvement there, but still finished the season with an ERA over 6. The offseason acquisition of Jesus Luzardo last year in a trade. Luzardo was up and down, was constant up and down, and then got constant kind of again at the end. Christopher Sanchez in his Cy Young-like season. Ranger Suarez in his impending free agency. Who am I forget? Is that everybody? So let's talk about the starting rotation. Phone lines tomorrow. Yes. I'm going to see if we can do them tonight. The Eagles are connected to Denzel Ward. I saw that. I did see that. But I need help on the edge, man. Edge or on the line. So let's talk about my philosophy when it pertains to the starting rotation. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm totally fine with the Phillies sort of kind of going in the same direction in 2026 as they did this year. The one thing that was never a concern of mine in 2026 was any of the Phillies pitching, even their bullpen. Their bullpen had depth issues. You get the Jose Alvarado drama. You know, they finally got a closer who was pitching like Steve Bedrosian in the beginning and then petered out a little bit, but finished strong, even though he had that rough 7th inning in Game 4. But I'm still okay. I would put the Phillies pitching staff up against just about anybody in baseball. And you're seeing things that are playing out right now. The Dodgers, of course, have advanced back to the World Series. They will face the is that game over, by the way? I know the Twins and Mariners are playing. What's going on in that series? I totally forgot. It's not the Twins. It's the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Jesus Christ. But so far, for the Dodgers' sake, I mean, their series against the Reds was a joke. Their series against the Brewers was a joke. The Phillies was the only series that really they were tested. And I thought it was partly due or mainly due because of the Phillies pitching staff. So hats off to them. I say, don't mess it up. You don't have to, not this year. I think you're going to get a Wheeler that's probably close to, or by the end of the season, he'll be back to kind of close to what he should be. Hopefully Nola improves, has a good spring, a healthy one, and can come in. Sanchez can pick up where he left off of. Luzardo can pick up where he left out on. You can get some contributions from other places, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. And I think this pitching staff will start 2026, maybe a little up and down to start the season without Wheeler. But I think we'll get better as we go. So let's go over the pitching staff right now. I'm going to talk about the players that we're bringing back. All right. Bradley Chubb. Okay. The Phillies strong is their starting pitching. Let's see. Nola unsure, Wheeler unsure, Luzardo, good Sanchez, good Suarez, free agent Walker. How step? Papernick, you tell me. You saw it with your own eyes. That the staff finished with a collective ERA. The staff, not the rotation, with a collective ERA down around 3. I'll take the Phillies pitching staff right now over just about anyone in baseball. Are you crazy? They gave up 14 runs in 4 games to the Dodgers. And a very pitcher-heavy series. They were the only team so far to be any sort of threat to the Dodgers. Now, I sound like Dombrowski now. Got to give credit to the Dodgers. They're a good team. I'm hanging my hat on. I'm taking the Homer route. Man, Papernick, you got me going down Homer Street right here. I will take the pitching staff right now. 100%. And yes, there's some issues heading into the season. We're going to break some of them down. So as Papernick brought up, Zach Wheeler, going to start the season mainly out on IL because he's still recovering. 24 games played in 2025, almost 150 innings, 271 ERA, close to 200 strikeouts, 33 walks, 10 wins, and is recovering, of course, from the season-ending blood clot surgery. Should be ready by late May 26. Huge piece of your rotation not available right off the bat. He was also a huge piece of the rotation not available down the stretch, but we survived. So let's put him on the shelf for now. But he's obviously coming back. So that leads me to my de facto number 1 piece, my new ace, at least for the start of the season, Christopher Sanchez. 32 games, 202 innings pitched, a 2.50 ERA, 212 strikeouts, 44 walks, and 13 wins. Really? I'll take that any day. So he is my new number 1. He's my ace, my guy. Rolling in at number 2. Boom. Jose Luzardo. 32 games pitched, 183 innings. Oh, I'm sorry, 32 games, 183 innings pitched. A little bit of a high ERA. He had some inconsistencies throughout the season, but again, over 200 strikeouts, 57 walks, and 15 wins. Luzardo's got to stay out of that little stuff that happened to him. What was it, in June and July? He was terrible, up and down, but he figured it out. It was a stabilizing force through the rotation down the stretch. 100% taken Jesus Luzardo. My number 3, and this is where I started throwing the dice a little bit. Aaron Nola, 17 games, injury-plagued season, his worst statistical season of his career in general. 17 games, only 94 innings pitched, a 6.01 ERA, 97 strikeouts, 28 walks, and only won 5 games. It was absolutely a terrible, terrible disappointment in 2025. And I agree with a lot of people out there. I think this is the beginning of something with Nola. I don't think it was injury related fully, right? I do think there's something going on with Nola, but hopefully he learns how to throw other pitches this spring and doesn't rely on his velocity and relies on that nasty breaking ball. That thing is still nasty, man. And if he can really lean on that, I'm okay with that. So there's my number 3 to start the season. My number 4 pitcher, and this is somebody I'm bringing in from the outside. I'm throwing the dice on this guy too. I want Patrick Corbin as my number 4. 31 games last year for the Nationals, 155 innings pitched, a 4.40 ERA, 131 strikeouts, 51 walks, 7 wins. He's been around. He's an older guy. I'm not asking him to pitch. I just need him in the rotation for about a month and a half. Down there at my 4 spot. I think that's doable. And he comes with an AAV or a market value of about $10 million. You could probably get him down further on that as his career is, I think he's 38. His career is coming to an end. He might want an opportunity to chase a World Series. I think you can make that happen. And my number 5 pitcher to start the season next year is the Golden Boy himself. I'm going Andrew Painter. 26 games through low A and triple A this year. Pitched over 117 innings. Finished with a 4.68 ERA combined. 123 strikeouts, 47 walks, and 5 innings. Major thing about Painter is this. 1, he got through the season without being hurt. 2, he pitched over 100 innings. 3, he had over 100 strikeouts. First year back from Tommy John. Velocity is there. Pitches are there. Command, getting back. Got to give him a little bit more time. But I put him down on my 5th hole of my rotation, or potentially, using Taijuan Walker out of the bullpen, which I'm going to give a little preview that Taijuan Walker will be back because he's under contract. So I'm bringing him back, but he's going to be in the bullpen. You got a little bit of you got some wiggle room there. But it's time for Andrew Painter to make his debut in 2026. We need him because I don't have Ranger Suarez coming back. I don't. Ranger's going to fetch a pretty hefty price tag. And let's look at his numbers real quick. 26 games played, 157 innings, 3.20 ERA, 151 strikeouts, 38 walks, and 12 wins. Rangers' problem has always been that the back, the injuries. I just don't think the Phillies can afford them. So I'm going to let him go. Bringing Painter in to replace him. Bringing Corbin in. So there you have it. There's my starting rotation to start the season. Now, again, when I get beyond my top 3, there's some skepticism down there about 4 and 5. Corbin, 38. Painter, Tommy John. I am going to bring Taijuan Walker back. This is my number 5. And my number 5, there's some other younger pitchers coming up through the pipeline next year that will be a year older. You could also explore some options out there. I know Jordan Montgomery's a free agent. I know a couple other guys that you could possibly bring in to solidify the rotation. But I am not concerned about the Phillies starting rotation at all. Matter of fact, I am very optimistic about it. Because once you do get Wheeler back in, and even if the Phillies come out of the gate and they get banged around, you reshuffle the rotation once Wheeler gets back. You take Corbin out, or you take Walker because you used Walker instead of Corbin. You put Walker back in the bullpen. You have Painter as your 5. Things will work out for them. I'm totally fine with the Phillies rotation. Seattle leads 3-2. Oh, but they're losing? Oosh. Oh, they're losing? Ooh. Where would Luis Ariz play if the Phillies go out? Second base. Stott's out of here. Stott is going. Michael Prappen is Sprinkle and Andrew Painter. Yeah, as I said that. First round pick, Gage Wood. Not in 2026, no. Gage Wood will be here like 2028, 29, maybe 30. Come on. Talk about Gage Wood. Had a 13.60 ERA in 2 games with the Thrashers. Not quite ready to bring him up now. Strom is gone. I don't think he is. Corbin on a 1-year deal. Yeah, absolutely. 1-year deal. Let him chase the World Series one last time. Blue Jays force Game 7. Wheeler, Sanchez, Lorado, Corbin, Nola, Painter. Who's the odd man out? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the Wheeler, I just said, when Wheeler comes back, you got to reshuffle the rotation at that point. I don't know who that could be. Painter. Maybe Painter struggles. Maybe Corbin struggles. You cut him. I don't know. I'll worry about that when Wheeler gets back. Or if you don't want to go that route, you can bring Walker in and make him the 5th starter and bring up somebody like Rangel or Lazar from Lehigh Valley and put them in the bullpen. But it's a good problem to have. I'm not really concerned about that in the end of May. I'll make that determination at the end of May because there is certain little bit of, I wouldn't say that I'm 100%. I'm a little not concerned, but there's going to be a lot of growing pains for Andrew Painter. Even if they decide to bring him up next year, there's going to be growing pains. You're going to have to be patient with him. It may not click for Painter until June or July or August, but you're just going to have to kind of weather the storm there. Corbin to the bullpen when Wheeler is healthy, or you cut him, or you send Painter back down, or what? I mean, you have options there. I don't want Painter in the bullpen if he has trouble. I don't know. I didn't say put Painter in the bullpen. Absolutely not. He's a starter. So there you go there's my starters. So let's now go into the bullpen. So let's go from the beginning of the bullpen to the end of the bullpen. I'm going to work it that way. Okay. My long relievers, my middle relievers, my late inning guys, and my closer. All right. Let's go that way. So Taijuan Walker, as I already mentioned, I am right now moving him to the bullpen. I would like to move him out, but he's got 1 more year left on a $20 million 4-year contract. If they can get creative with him in the offseason, great. But look at Taijuan's numbers. 34 games, in and out, starting bullpen. He was wherever they wanted him. He pitched over 120 innings, a 4.08 ERA, 86 strikeouts, 42 walks, 5 wins, and he had a save. Listen, I think in all aspects, it was pretty much a turnaround season for Taijuan Walker. Right-hand option out of the bullpen. And I think that's a good role for him as a long reliever. I don't want to put him in any high-leverage situations, or maybe you do, but I think I'm stacking my bullpen this year with players that I don't want to put in that position. So I'm going to put Taijuan as one of my long relievers. So there you go. I'm bringing him back. And again, he's sort of a safety net. If there's a problem with Painter, if there's a problem, they don't bring Corbin in or something. They bring another kid up from the Lehigh Valley. If there's a problem with that number 4 or 5 starting rotation, you got Taijuan Walker there until Wheeler comes back. So moving on up through the bullpen, let's go with a journeyman player that kind of pitched well for us, quietly pitched well for us, and that would be Mr. What was his name? Lou Trevino. Lou Trevino spent time with the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Giants last year, 3 different teams. And in through those 3 different teams, he appeared in 47 games, 47.2 innings pitched, 3.86 ERA, 37 strikeouts, 18 walks, 3 wins, no saves. Listen, I'm not. Again, he's a long reliever. He's the option if somebody can't get out of the 3rd inning. And if you don't like him, again, Max Lazar, Alan Rangel, pitchers like that, Michael Mercado, Seth Johnson, Moises Chase. I mean, there's names down in the minors that might get an opportunity to battle for that role. But, I don't think he pitched terribly. Again, it's all about keeping him in the situation that he can pitch in, keeping him away from those late innings or those mid innings. Keep him down in that between third and or first to the fifth inning if he has to pitch. So I'm going with Trevino. So I got two right-handers to start off. Moving up into the depths of the bullpen, let's go in with our middle reliever. Maybe one of the pitchers of the year for the Phillies last year, quietly. I mean, Mr. Tanner Banks. I mean, had himself a fantastic year for the Phillies. A left-handed option, middle reliever, 69 games, 67 innings pitched, 3.07 ERA, 61 strikeouts, 12 walks, 6 wins, and a save for Tanner. Kind of came out of nowhere. Was a real stabilizing force in that bullpen when we thought things were going off the wheel, off the rails. Again, 5th, 6th inning option there. And he's a left-handed option. So heading on with Tanner Banks. Moving on. What else should we talk about next? So we got Tanner Banks. I guess it's time to talk about him. The much maligned, I don't take PFP. What did Dombrowski say? He didn't take it, but we did it. Matt Strahm. I like Matt Strahm for a couple different reasons. Reason number one, he's an avid baseball card collector. And we can't have not enough of those guys on this team. All right. He needs to stick around because of his baseball card collection. All right. I like the way he pitches. I've always been a Matt Strahm fan. He's, again, misused a lot in situations by Rob Thompson. But if you leave him in that 6th inning, 7th inning hole, Matt Strahm will give you the innings. Yes, is his fate sealed here? I don't know. For those comments he made, maybe not. I know he passed his physical at the end of the season, sort of qualifying for his option year. Do the Phillies move off of Strahm because of what he said? There was a lot, as I said, there was a lot of things Dave Dombrowski didn't say in that press conference that spoke louder than the things he said. And Matt Strahm was definitely one of those. I hope they bring him back. I really do. 66 games, 62.1 innings pitched, 2.74 ERA, 70 strikeouts, 20 walks, 2 wins, and 6 saves. Quietly did that. Quietly. Now, he had his moments, but again, I don't need to see Matt Strahm in the 8th inning. I don't need to see him in the 9th. I need to see him in the 6th inning or 7th inning. So definitely bring back Matt Strahm. Now we get into the late innings, and the second maligned pitcher on this team who I think they need to bring back and put him in opening day, regardless if it's a save situation, a hold situation. I don't care if the Phillies are blowing the Texas Rangers out 14-0. This young man needs to pitch on opening day, and that's, of course, Ryan Kerkering. He needs to go out there on opening day. He needs to face the fire on opening day, and I don't care what the situation is. They need to get him in the game. And he definitely needs to come back to the Phillies. All right. I will not give up on a Ryan Kerkering. 69 games, 60 innings pitched, 3.30 ERA, 65 strikeouts, 27 walks, 8 wins, and 4 saves all over the back end, middle part of the bullpen. They need to find a role for him. It's an 8th inning guy. It is 7th, 8th inning guy. They got to unlock that from him. You know, what's lost in that play that he made or did not make at the end of the game 4 was the fact that he pitched out of a really bad situation. What's lost in that is that he actually pitched his way out of that situation with a tapper back to the mound. He just screwed up the goddamn play. But the big knock on Kerkering is he can't pitch with runners on. He can't pitch with inherited runners and all that. But he went in one of the biggest moments of his career, and he did. And he got out of it. But he screwed up. But you need to go right back to him. He needs to go back in game 1 against the Rangers at home, in front of the home faithful, put that thing to bed. So Ryan Kerkering is also in my bullpen. Another right-handed option coming out of the pen. Now we're moving to the back end. Now I'm bringing on a player that's new. This is a guy I'm going out and signing because I've been coveting him for years. He's a free agent on the open market. If we can add him to the back end of the bullpen, I would absolutely love it. Pitched for the last, it seems like 1,000 years in California with the Angels. Kenley Jansen, right-hander, 62 games, 59 innings pitched, a 2.59 ERA, 57 strikeouts, 19 walks, 5 wins, 29 saves. He's a UFA this year. His market value is 13 mil, but he will be 39 in 2026. But again, another situation like Patrick Corbin, give him a 1-year deal. Let's chase a World Series. And if I can put him back in that back end of the bullpen with Kerkering, with Alvarado, who we're going to talk about next, and then setting up for Duran. I know he's a closer by trade, but I don't think you can. I don't think it's going to take much to talk him into setting up and closing at times as well. He's another option out there, late inning guy. That was sort of our Achilles heel at the end of the season, was we really didn't have too many options out there at the end of innings, at the end of games. Give me another, a guy who can throw hard, late inning guy, and I'm going with Kenley Jansen again. 39, he will turn during the baseball season. I'm not asking you to sign him to a 10-year deal. Give him a 1-year deal, and let's go chase a World Series. So bring him in. Bring me Kenley Jansen. And then moving into the back end of the bullpen, and we're already back there. Of course, I just mentioned his name. Let's bring him in here now. Big question mark about Jose Alvarado. Obviously, he's going to be back. But what are we getting? And how much was the juice that he was taking affecting his pitching? Was he, is that going to be a different Jose Alvarado? Is he going to lose that millimeter off his fastball, or that, I should say, 0.01 second off that fastball? Is he going to lose that half millimeter off the break? What are we getting out of Jose Alvarado when he comes back? It's going to be an interesting situation with him. 28 games before the 80-game suspension, 26 innings pitched. Of course, he came back at the end as well. 3.81 ERA, 32 strikeouts, 7 walks, 4 wins, and 7 saves before being suspended by the Phillies, or by Major League Baseball. But definitely bring him back. He's a left-handed option, late inning guy. And that leads me to, of course, the closer. Definitely a great, a very good move by the Phillies and Dave Dombrowski at the trade deadline to bring in Bader and Duran. 72 games pitched between the Phillies and the Twins, 69.3 innings, 2.09 ERA, 80 strikeouts, 19 walks, 7 wins, and 32 saves between the two teams that he had in 2025. Just don't play his walk-up music when he's coming into a game down 4-1 in the 9th, and we'll be all right. But absolutely going to go back with him as your closer, right-handed option. So you got a righty, a lefty, a righty, and a righty in the back end of that bullpen. Oh, and a lefty, I'm sorry. Yeah. So there you have it. There's MattyB's 2026 bullpen and his starting rotation. There it is. So now all we got to do is the bench tomorrow, and then we can talk lineup. So there you have it, man. Painstakingly pouring through multiple documents of research, player profiles. I think this is the one. I think this is it. Don't forget everything going down on the network this week. Tomorrow, you got the Flyers and Kraken on the Clear the Ice program with Mike Laro. Then you got me. Tuesdays, me. Wednesday, the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. Celtics Sixers postgame, folks. That's right. The Get Processed Sixer postgame show makes its debut. Pat Bernard will be your guide through what should be a fun Sixer season. And it'll all kick off on Wednesday. And then after that, it'll be me. On Thursday, you got the Birds Blast. That will not be on Thursday. It's probably going to flex to Wednesday. The Gridiron Weekly, Flyers Senators post game, and then the final word with MattyB. That's not going to happen. That show won't. I don't know why I put that on there. That is not going to happen. I won't be here for that show. I don't know how many times I could have sworn that wasn't on there. On Friday, you got props, locks, and parlays coming to Fridays this week. Mike's got something going on. And that's going to be at 8 o'clock, not 7. He changed it again. So it's 8 o'clock. The wraparound, 10:30. Attacking third, Sixers Hornets postgame and Flyers Islanders postgame on Saturday. There you go. And there's your schedule on the network this week. Maybe I'll go and update that. Yeah, no, Joe, I please. We'll only have the bench tomorrow, so not much. should go get through that fast. I disagree. I think Alvaro needs to be back. Strom will be back. He should be. I hope he is. I like him. He's a quality arm in the 7th inning. He's a 7th inning guy. Problem is we didn't use him in the right spot, and he needs to keep his mouth shut. All right, let's go to the of the night segment. Oh, man. Throwing everybody under the bus on that one. The of the night segment. We're down here. All right. All right. All right, of the night segment tonight. We are, of course, talking Flyers prospects right now. This is that time of the year. Let's bring them up here. We've gone through a few of the hot ones. Porter Martone's already been done. We're kind of making our way through the system. There's like 60 players that we're going to talk about between now and April. So hope you remember the ones in October come April. But let's talk about prospect for the Flyers tonight. The young man, the young center from the Red Deer Rebels, Matt Guard. 6'5", another big centerman, 194 pounds, drafted in the second round of the 2025 draft by the Flyers. Proactive and calculated. Guard gets above the puck, guides tacks to the outside, clamps down on the sticks, and supports down low. In the rare instance he's not already positioned perfectly, he's open ice speed and reach propel him back into the play, and he's just as effective on the forecheck, combining these same skills with physicality. Chenko, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Through, I guess, 5 games now? How many games has he played? Through 6 games with Red Deer, he's got 3 goals, 2 assists, and a 5 points, and a +2. So looking at Jack Nesbitt, looking at Porter Martone, you're looking at Matthew Guard. These are more of the bigger variety of centermans and wingers that the Flyers drafted this past year, a second-round pick, by the way, by the Flyers this past summer. Represents a little bit of a changing in the guard when it comes to sort of the body type of our current Flyer team. Obviously, a little bit of an emphasis was placed on the bigger forwards in this draft, and Guard is definitely one of those guys. Second year in Red Deer, so he's probably going to spend at least 1 more year there next year, and then maybe get an opportunity with the Flyers in 27, 28, maybe. We'll see. But definitely a good young player, and if you have the ability to watch any of the Red Deer Rebel games of the Western Hockey League, I suggest you do. I have the idea. I'm able to, because I spend my days and nights scouring the internet, the deep dark web, not to take over the world, but to watch Western Hockey League hockey games. That's what I do. So I've watched a couple of his games. He does flow well, and he is pretty intimidating. Again, junior hockey. He's playing he's a man among boys down there. I give you that, but definitely has the skills and will be a valuable asset as he moves through his career. Now, what does he project as? Too early to tell. Maybe a third liner, potentially a fourth liner. I don't know, but we'll see. And there you get it. Matthew Guard is our Flyer prospect of the night. And let's go back to this comment here, as Joe Hale put up an interesting one. Needs to see more from Lachenko needs to be sent down. The problem with Lachenko is Tocchet right now. I mean, Tocchet decides to go physical versus physical with teams. So he sits Lachenko and he sits Gabrankin, and he plays Delorier and Dvorak. I don't know. The problem is, and you mentioned being sent down. That's exactly where he doesn't need to be sent back to juniors. No, he needs to stay in the system, stay with the organization, go down to Lehigh or go up to Lehigh, whatever. And because honestly, he does need to play every day. I agree. I don't know why you would bring him onto the team and not have him play every day. He is the 13th overall pick in the 2024 NHL draft. Or was it 23? 23 draft. And he's not playing every day. Okay, if he's not ready to, then put him in a place where he can. I agree with you, Joe. I don't know what the thing with Lutsenko is right now. I really don't understand why they're doing it. Optics, maybe they want to act. They want you to think that they know what they're doing because that's why their first round pick from 3 years ago is playing on the team. I don't know, but you're absolutely right. He needs to play every day, and he needs to go somewhere where he can do that. But we'll see, man. We'll definitely see. Phantoms look good. Yep, Kovasov had that 35-shot shutout the other night for them. Might be seeing him here soon. Be seeing Urson starting down there soon. Who knows? But real quick on the Flyers, Joe Hale brings it up. Good, as I mentioned, I did the post game yesterday. Good character win, yeah, against the Wild. Still, there's not, the offense is nothing really to write home about. Defense is playing a lot better as a philosophy. Again, I said this at the open. They're playing more of a keep the net clean type of style, pushing everybody out. Now, the problem is some of the goals that are being given up. Matter of fact, the majority of the goals the Flyers have given up this year have been from distance, both by Urson and by Vladar. Dan Vladar has some problems with seeing the shot cleanly. I mean, when there's no screen in front of him, he's terrible. It's just better with traffic in front of him and close, but distance and open, it's kind of a crapshoot with both of them, really. But I'm digging the defensive technique. I'm digging that. Let's push everybody back. Let's keep that net clean. It's a definite far cry from what Tortorella was running. Tortorella was all about lanes and staying in those lanes, not deviating and being opportunistic. So with that type of defense, though, it does slow your offense down. And that's very evident as, the Flyers are struggling with scoring goals. A little bit about 2 3/4 goals a game, 1 for 15 on the power play. Terrible start to the power play this year, which is nothing new, but just a real bad start to the power play. But 5 games in, 2-2-1. You can't ask for more than that, I guess. So the Flyers are a good news story, I guess. But all right, let's wrap it up tonight with our favorite segment of the night. Yeah, MattyB's card review. We wrap every show up with the MattyB card review segment. Tonight we're back in Topps. We're back in the modern age of baseball cards. 2019, I believe, is what we're talking tonight. And we're going to talk about a Phillies player that is confusing to me. Joe Hale says 49ers won 20-10. It's good for me. I know Christian McCaffrey was having a good game. We're going back to 2019, and we're going to talk about a player that currently plays for the Phillies who does not play for the Phillies in 2019, but his card here from 2019 is listed with the Topps Rookie Cup. Now, you guys are aware, I think we've gone deep enough into this where you should understand the difference between the Rookie Cup on Topps versus the Rookie Shield on Topps, right? Or do I have to explain it more? Which I will. Now, the Rookie Cup is a gold cup, and you're about to see it, that typically appears on players' second-year cards. Whereas the Rookie Shield, which you've seen that before, it's that little shield that says RC on it up there on the right-hand corner. That is the dead set. That's the player's rookie card. If you see the Rookie Cup, that's not the player's rookie card. If you see the Rookie Shield, that's the rookie card. I don't know why Topps does this. I've not spent any time researching why they do it, but they do it. So tonight we're going to talk about this young man, Harrison Bader, and his 2019 Rookie Cup card from the St. Louis Cardinals about 1 billion years ago when he was a second-year player. Bader, his rookie season officially was in 2017, played 32 games. So his actual rookie card would have come out in the 2018 set. And this was his 2019 card. After playing 138 games for St. Louis in 2018. So there you go with the Rookie Cup, not the Rookie Shield. So not a rookie card for Harrison Bader, but a cool card, Again, Topps utilizing the entire front of the card, not really spending much time on the border. It's got that red line going down the side and across the bottom is really all the border it is. Not much there. Full frontal card. And Bader is depicted there. This card is absolutely worthless. There is somebody with the ball selling it right now for $11. I don't know if it's been posted for a while, so don't think he's getting much traction on that, but you could probably pick this card up for about $2 if you're a savvy collector. And I don't know why you'd want to pick it up, but hey, it's Harrison Bader. It's kind of his rookie year, and it's a cool card. So, big fan of the Topps 2019 set in general. And whenever I get to talk about a Phillies player that's playing for another team at that time, it's kind of cool. So there you go. Harrison Bader's 2019 Rookie Cup, not rookie card from Topps. All right, guys. That'll do it. We come to the end of another show. I do apologize for not opening the phone lines. I had a lot to get into. If we just did the Eagles and then didn't have that real lengthy Philly segment, probably could have gotten through and opened the phone lines. But I will open them tomorrow because all we're going to do is go back over the Phillies or go back over the Eagles a little bit, talk about the Flyers, and then throw out the bench, and that'll be that. So the phone lines will be open tomorrow. Remember, there's only going to be 4 nights tonight through Wednesday, and then that's it for me. I will have to take a rain check on Thursday as I got to go out of town. Thank you, Joe. Thank you always. But thank you for everyone for tuning in. Eagles won 28-22. Are you feeling better, worse, the same? I feel the same about this team. Big time passing effort from Jalen Hurts. Is that the secret to Eagles' success in 2025? And if so, or if that's, I shouldn't say if that's the secret, but if that's the new style, I don't know where it's going to lead because we've seen it not work in the past. We revealed our starting rotation and our bullpen for 2026. I am picking up 2 new pieces for both the rotation and the bullpen. Kenley Jansen from the Angels and Patrick Corbin from the Nationals, both on 1-year deals. Let's go chase a World Series, boys. I'm going to need some of your veteran leadership, and I might need your arms as we weather the storm of no Zach Wheeler for the beginning part of the season. So that leaves me with just a bench, and then the big lineup reveal come probably, tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. So a very controversial lineup, turning it over to the rookies. So far, I've talked about 5 of them that I want to have play heavy parts in the Phillies next year. I don't know if 5 of them will. Painter, Crawford, and at some point, Miller and Kemp. So what? Painter, Crawford, Kemp, and at some point, Miller is more legitimate. I know I want Luis Arise, but the problem is I don't think they're getting rid of Stott. I would like for them to get off of Stott, but they probably won't. But again, this is my team. This is what I would do if I was president of the Phillies. So in my world, he's here. And Stott's gone. I definitely would trade Stott to the A's. I think they would take him. And again, Vegas connection and all that. Went over some Flyers notes, talked about our prospect of the night, Matthew Guard, and obviously the Eagles were the number 1 story. 5-2 now are your Philadelphia Eagles. Big game against the Giants coming. Next Sunday at 1. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo return. Let's see how they handle that. And then, yes, there is a doubleheader tomorrow on Monday Night Football, as Joe Hale points out. So hope you guys enjoy that, but make sure you're back here at 10 o'clock. Or I should say right after the Fightins. Let's say the Fightins final. Right after Clear the Ice. Positive thinking. Still in the baseball mode, but I'll get out of that. Till we talk again tomorrow, guys. I got a sore throat all of a sudden. Till we talk tomorrow, you guys have a good rest of your night, and then I'll see you.